Hello students. So today we are going to start with our subject science lesson number 12, that is simple machines. So students, we had already begun with the first half of our lesson. So we'll move towards the second half of our lesson. Before starting, I'd like you to remember about the previous topics which we discussed, that is a wedge, a lever. We had completed half part of the lever, that how a crowbar helps in picking up stones. So students, in our next session we are going to learn about how how crowbar, there are many other levers too, so how they are going to work and how the effort, load and fulcrum act on a particular lever. So moving to the next topic, that is lever. So students, starting with this topic, I like you to show the screen which is displaying one of our experiment from textbook. So students, here we'll take that this load phase is basically a paperweight. Okay, so now if we put a pencil on a table, we'll put this small box which you can see, that is just that will keep on the place of a pencil, so that will become our fulcrum. Now place a ruler on it at right angles with it. Now put a paperweight on one end of the ruler. Now press the other end with your fingertip to the left the weight to lift the weight. Now, which are the load arm, the effort arm and the fulcrum of this lever? So now, go on increasing the distance between the paperweight and the pencil by 4 cm every time and see whether the paperweight can be lifted when placed at each of those distances. What will you find, students? As the effort arm becomes longer and longer compared to the load arm, less and less force is required to lift the paperweight. Such a lever is called a lever of the first order. Understood? Moving to the second example, you can see on your screen that the picture is showing that how we use an opener to remove the cap of a bottle, any bottle, whether a sauce bottle, a Pepsi bottle, anything. Okay, now try to do the same yourself. Now to remove the tight fitting cap, the opener is first rested on the cap and then we apply a force on the opposite of the opener to pull it upwards. The cap also gets pulled up as the opener rotates about the fulcrum. Where are the fulcrum, load and effort in this case? The effort is kept on the openers and the load is put on the cap and the fulcrum is the upper part of the opener. Okay students, now moving ahead to our next topic, that we on the third experiment which we will continue. So now from the picture on your screen you can see that how do we lift an object using tongs. Now the weight or the load is at one end of the arms of the tong. We apply effort in the middle of the arms. It means the effort is always applied in the middle of the lever, while the fulcrum and the load are at the opposite ends. Understood? So students, from this we inherit that there are three types of levers depending upon the position of the effort, the fulcrum and the load. You can see that in your figure on the screen. So the first is the lever of the first order. In this, the fulcrum is in the center. The green triangle, that is the fulcrum. The load is at one end. You can see the blue arrow, that is the load. And while the effort is at the other hand, the red arrow is the red arrow. Now second one is the lever of the second order. In this, the load is in the center, the fulcrum is on one side and the effort on the other side. In the third one, there is lever of the third order. The effort is in the center, the fulcrum on one side and the load on the other side. Okay, my dear students, so did you understood that how levers work according to the position of the effort, fulcrum and the load? So now next topic which we have is a pulley. Okay students, so we'll begin with the topic by making you look at an example of a pulley in everyday life which is on your screen now. So students, now let's try this. Now we can make a pulley by our own self. What we have to do is, you have to take a pencil, some sticking tape, an empty reel of thread, half a meter of thick thread, a weight such as an eraser that can be tied to the thread, play dough, that is clay. Okay. Now place the pencil on the table so that it just over the edge of the table. Fix it very firmly or tightly to the table using the sticking tape. Now insert the reel over the part of that pencil that just out. Now put a lump of the play dough or the clay on the tip of the pencil so that the reels does not come off. Now draw the thick thread having the weight at one end and over this reel. What happens when the loose end of the thread is held and pulled down? The weight tied at the other end gets lifted up. Such a device with a grooved wheel and thread designed to lift weight is called as a pulley. Students, how does it help to use a pulley? If we use a pulley, force can be applied in the downward direction for lifting the weight in an upward direction. This is very convenient and easy. You must have seen some examples of pulley in day-to-day use. We can make a list of these also. One you can see on the screen, that is a well. A well is also an example of pulley because you can see the wheel is also there. There is a rope. When you pull the rope, the bucket comes out of the well. So even the well has got a pulley on its head. Okay students. Next topic is a wheel and axle. So you all know what wheel is, and I'll explain what axle is. So all of you must have enjoyed sitting on a giant wheel. You can see the giant wheel on your screen. This is the giant wheel. So you all must have sat on it. Now what makes the giant wheel go round? The giant wheel is fitted to a rod which is at its center. This rod is called as an axle. When the axle starts rotating with the help of electricity, the wheel fitted to it also starts rotating. This combination of an axle and a wheel is a simple machine. We see innumerable examples of it. Students, when the pedal of a bicycle is rotated, the wheel starts rotating. How does this happen? Yes, again there is an axle in the center of the bicycle wheel. Understood? Now we'll move towards our last topic, that is maintenance of machines. So my dear students, with the help of the word maintenance of machines, we come to know that this is all about maintaining your machines. So student, parts of machines rub against one another when they are used. Soiled, dusty parts creates more friction. Some parts affected by the weather rust and erode. Machines get damaged or become useless due to such wear and tear. To avoid this, it is very important to take care of machines. Students, during the maintenance of a machine, all its parts are first wiped clean. Oil or lubricant is released between parts that rub against each other so that there is less friction between them and the wearing is reduced. Students, machines are also covered when not in use. You must have seen the scooters and the cars and everything. When people don't use them on regular basis, they cover them. Why? Because it prevents dust settling on them. So, to prevent the effect of weather, metallic parts in the machine are painted externally and the machines are always kept dry. Students, do you know that there are big factories which have a separate department for the maintenance of the machine? Factories are also closed at regular fixed periods for the maintenance of machines. So, students, here we end with the lesson. I hope you understood all the points clearly and nicely. So, we'll meet in our next session with our next lesson. Till then, thank you.